Hi guys, Luke here. Welcome back to HydraCollectables. This is my part 2 of my Masters of the Universe 2000X review slash figure display. So yeah, if you haven't already checked out the first part, I'll put the link right up here. And yeah, without further ado, let's move on. So let's begin with Prince Adam. So as you can see, this 2000X version is a lot different to the original 1980s Prince Adam. He is a lot more slender built and, yeah, looks a lot more fragile, looks a lot more like a child, looks more like a young prince rather than his 80s counterpart. I really like this sculpture. I really like the way that Prince Adam looks so different to He-Man himself, and I feel they've really done a nice job on this sculpture. So yeah, well done to the Four Horsemen, who indeed sculpted all of these figures. As you can see, He-Man is sporting the power sword, and even though I'm not a big fan of this new design, I still think it's a really nice accessory, a really nice piece. Where would He-Man be without, of course, Teela? Teela is a fierce warrior of the Masters of the Universe franchise. And yeah, this is a really nice update to the original design. She still looks very much like Teela from the 1980s, but she's been brought forward to a more modern stance. And yeah, once again, the Horsemen done an amazing job with this figure. She looks absolutely stunning. Sticking with the well-known heroes, here we have Man-at-Arms, and again this is a really nice updated design. He still very much looks like the Man-at-Arms from the 80s, but with this new design he really does look like a force to be reckoned with, a really cool looking soldier and of course scientific mind, for he is the one that created He-Man's new sword that we see in this particular show. And yeah, it's great to see a Man-at-Arms with the trusty mustache, which the original series neglected to put on their original toys. Next up we have Stratos, and to me this is probably my favourite of the updated designs. I think this guy looks incredible. He's got the kind of Marvel Falcon look about him with these awesome looking wings. This was actually one of the first of this line of toys that I ever picked up, and I found him at a jumble sale. I immediately identified that he was Stratos, even though he looks incredibly different to the original 1980s counterpart. This is a brilliant updated version and possibly my favourite out of all of these toys. Sticking with our heroic warriors, here we have Ram Man, and this again is another really nice updated character. The original character of Ram Man always appeared a little bit too dorky for me, however this guy really does look like a force to be reckoned with, a force for good in the battle against Skeletor and his army. He has all the same action features as he did with the original 1980s version of the figure, which pretty much includes a spring in his legs, enabling him to ram slash headbutt the enemies. Next up, we have one of the more stranger characters. This is Mechanic, a really strange kind of half-human, half-robot type character. In fact, he may in fact be more robot than man by this point. But yeah, really nice character design here, very similar to the original look of that 1980s cartoon. But yeah, he always kind of reminded me of Inspector Gadget. Up next, we have Orko, and this guy is super impressive to hold in hand. Unlike the original 1980s figure that really did look bulky and a bit dorky, this guy actually now looks like a force to be reckoned with, a powerful sorcerer of the mystic arts. So yeah, definitely a favourite of mine in this collection. And finally, rounding off the heroes, we of course have Buzz-Off. I never really considered this guy to be a hero or a villain, but more a separate entity that existed within Eternia, a different group of people or species. I really love the luminescence of these wings, and I just love this character design as a whole. It's a really unique looking piece and a great fit to the collection. So moving on from heroes, let's take a look at some villains. Here we have Beastman, and I've got to say, this sculpture is absolutely beautiful. This guy really does tower over the others and really does look menacing. Having him no longer on that original He-Man body of the 80s toys, it just brings so much more life to the character. This guy really does look awesome in his Bigfoot slash Yeti form. Now, I am missing a lot of accessories here, including a chest plate that he actually wears, but for the most part, I'm fine with that. You know, I just really like having these guys in my collection. Next up, we have fan favourite Trapjaw. Now it's worth noting that Trapjaw would normally have a blue body along with the green face, but this one is all green in his skin tones, and I'm kind of okay with that. This is actually because of him being part of the second wave of action figures, which were titled Masters of the Universe Snake Men, and for whatever reason they decided to do some repaints of the original designs. But overall, I really like this Frankenstein style look, and I think that the Horsemen really went out of their way in order to really make these mechanical and organic parts really mesh together in a real menacing way. So yeah, another favourite of mine. Next up we have Triclops, and Triclops was always a very interesting character to me. Whereas most of Skeletor's army were actually creatures and bestial, he was more man-like, and for the most part I always thought that he would be better suited along with Mech-A-Neck and Ram Man and Stratos on the side of the heroes. So I'm not entirely sure, I might have to go back and check up on my He-Man history, but did he ever start off as a hero and then go bad? I'm not too sure. What happened here with this character? Why is he this way in his appearance? Moving along, we have Whiplash. Whiplash was always a figure that I really admired as a child. I had the 1980s version with the long rubber tail, and yeah, I loved that thing. I've always liked humanoid dinosaur figures. I mean, every kid loves dinosaurs, and having a humanoid dinosaur figure just ticks so many boxes for that imagination and that excitement. I think that's why I like Marvel's The Lizard so much from Spider-Man. There's just something about it that I really like, and this figure really doesn't disappoint. The detail work, the scales, they just tick so many boxes, so a great one to have in my collection. Sticking with the reptilian people, here we have General Rattler, and yeah, I picked this guy up at a jumble sale. Really excited to find him because he's actually quite hard to get at a cheap rate. However, the reason why he was so cheap is because he doesn't have his tail. This is something that I didn't even clock at first. I was so excited to pick him up, I didn't even notice that his tail was missing. So at some point I am going to have to go out looking for that additional piece, or indeed replacing the whole figure. Another monster henchman right here, 2-for-1 deal. We have the character of Too Bad, and this character is just amazing in its appearance. They've really done a great job updating it to the modern times. He still holds the same action features as he did with the 80s line, where if you pull one of the arms back, it will actually punch the opposite face. So yeah, a really fun and exciting figure for any child to play with. Next up, we have another incredible character design. Here we have Merman, probably the only character within this series that has most of, if not all of his accessories. This particular character I was so desperate to army build. If I could find more of these at a decent cost, I would have hundreds of them. It really reminds me a lot of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and for that it ticks a lot of boxes for me. These guys look incredible. So we're getting close to the end of the villains lineup now, and here we have Evil-Lyn, a fan favourite and a personal favourite of mine. I think this figure is absolutely stunning. I think the colours that they have used are amazing. I like that they've changed the skin tone from that weird yellow colour. I didn't really understand why she was yellow back in the 1980s. But yeah, having her in a more natural human-like skin tone really works well for this figure, and yeah, a real fan favourite and a personal favourite of mine all round. So next up we have King Hiss, and this is probably the most recent character that I've bought in this figure line. I only got it a couple of weeks ago. He was so hard to find because a lot of the time this overall human disguise that you see is always missing from this figure, and I'll show you why in just a second. So you actually push that little button on the back there, and this frontward facing bit actually flips open to reveal what he looks like inside. So if you just give me a moment, I will show you what this guy looks like. So there you have it. That is his true form underneath that flip section of the action figure. So as you can imagine, this would have snapped off quite a lot. People would have lost it. It's not really in the best of conditions. So to find this was kind of a grail piece for me in regards to this line of action figures. So out of all of the figures, this one is truly unique because this figure is indeed Skeletor. However, it is Skeletor having been transformed and mutated by the Snake Men, and so yeah, it's a really interesting concept, really interesting design. I'm not going to go into spoilers about the plot of the TV show, but overall a fantastic figure and a great piece to add to your collection. And so finally, here is the man himself. Here is Skeletor. Now, obviously this Havoc stuff is not the original for this lineup. That's actually from the current Masters of the Universe Origins playsets that I've actually picked up for my kids. So yeah, I just pinched that for this initial shot just to show you guys the Havoc stuff. I will have to go out and replace the Havoc stuff or buy another one of these and repaint it to better suit. But yeah, I really like this design for Skeletor. I like that he's a slightly more slimmer build to that original vacuum form that we had for the original lineup of figures. Yeah, Skeletor, the stuff of nightmares. So that's effectively it for the 2000X toy line. However, it is worth noting that the company wanted to make more of these figures and they actually sculpted some other designs. This one in particular here of Hordak was one that the Four Horsemen actually sculpted but didn't get a chance to release in that initial lineup. So instead what they did is they found a loophole where they were able to release these as 6-inch style figurines with no articulation, just a simple pose. And yeah, when put in display amongst the other figures, they really do look good, and it's nice to have these characters even though they are not strictly toys. So yeah, I love this design of Hordak. I think he looks awesome. So I almost forgot that I did actually have one more He-Man 2000X character. Here I have a mint on card, Khan. Khan is another one of the Snake Men, and yeah, a fantastic piece to have. Now I am an out-of-box collector, but at the moment I don't have any of this out on display. It is just stored in a rather large storage box. So until that time comes, I will just keep him in the packaging. But yeah, he'll be coming out soon and joining the others once I get the display sorted. So finishing off my He-Man collection in terms of the 2000X line, here I have Battle Cat. Now I do actually have the additional accessories to this, however they are kind of scattered at the bottom of the box here, and I can't really get to them in order to show you him in all his glory. However, I will whack up a couple of pictures because Battle Cat, for the most part, is my favourite character of the Masters of the Universe franchise. Now, granted, because of him being my favourite character, I do have some disappointments when it comes to this particular show. However, my disappointments are more so with the cartoon and less about the toy, because the toy still looks fantastic. This is still a really nice version of Battle Cat, really nice piece to have, and yeah, I don't have too many complaints to make about it as far as the toy goes. So here's a final shot of these 2000X line, along with whatever else happened to be in the box at the time. So as you can see, we've got a couple of Origins figures, a couple of the original figures from the 80s, and of course the Classics version. So yeah, this is by no means my entire collection of Masters of the Universe toys, it just happens to be what was in this box, and as far as I know, I might even have more of the 2000X ones that just aren't here at present. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Me and my son have really enjoyed this entire week. I've had all of this stuff out as I've been doing the research to make these two videos, and we've had a great time playing with these toys, watching both the original cartoon and the 2000X series, and then me and my wife had a lot of fun painting that Castle Grayskull that you see in the background. So that's actually an original castle from the 1980s that we gave a little bit of paint to you know, create this awesome background for these videos. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, please share it amongst your friends, and please let me know down in the comment section below which of these amazing figure lines you've enjoyed collecting the most, and which character from the franchise happens to be your favourite. It'll be great to hear your thoughts and your stories. So with that, I'm signing off, and until next time, I'll see you in another life. Take care.